for trading, when President of the government said, well, Maybach is probably too much for you, and he responded, well, I paid with my money, what do you want to? So, if our private investors will want to hear that questions from the public, that will be the way to improve the discussion and the dialogue which is needed for the energy project. If that dialogue will not be established, we will postpone another energy project and Croatia will be in great development trouble. That is my prediction.
Yes, a very good point, except in this case I think we will be dealing with issues that are much more important than one single car, which raises the importance of these private firms, investors being open to the public. Srđan Dvornik is next.
Yeah.
Just let's go in order. Srđan Dvornik and then Sonja Preda.
Thank you. I really, first of all, have to say that this was an unusually honest presentation given by Mr. Dekanic, which went into the center of the problems with the disagreement between the general public and various interests, political circles, investors, etc. I would just say that it's the term misunderstanding, I'm afraid, tends to downplay a little bit the problem at hand, because there are disagreements, but they stem not only from lack of communication and understanding. That is true, I agree with that. But there is a really profound difference of interests, which cannot be reconciled by better agreement, better kind of communication. For instance, this very important point about whether environmental costs should be included from the outset, strategically, even before specific project, or postponed for some time when we see how real the risks are, etc., etc. That's a deep conflict of interest, which cannot be reconciled by retaining the given positions. It can only be reconciled by factoring in some new conditions. So that is why, for instance, I would never agree with anybody who says the price of energy is the problem. The price of the energy is God's blessing. Actually, it helps us to take much more seriously the problem which will affect, I agree, really, the generation of our grandchildren, at least. So the fossil fuel should be expensive to show us that investments in renewable energies and in energy efficiency are not that high. They are what they are. Thank God, oil is becoming more and more comparable to those prices. So that is why actually the problem is not only investing in more efficiency, investing in renewable energy, which sometimes requires very high investment, but simply adopting strategy based on holistic approach. Since the mankind realized that the capacity of our planet is limited, so limited that if we wanted to have the level of consumption of the United States, we will need 5 planets of Earth to accommodate the whole of the mankind as it is now. So since we have realized that the capacity is limited, it has a very simple, calculable consequence which can be expressed in terms of economics, and that's that everything has its price. If you want to dump more waste into the environment, you will have some kind of repercussion which you will have to pay. So environmental expenses should and must be calculated in from the beginning. There shouldn't be any discussion about that. And why is there discussion about that? Because we have different interests. Holistic approach starts from this idealistic notion of the value of life as such, sustainability of life, not sustainability of capitalist growth. But who stands for the life as such? Whose particular interest is life as such? Nobody's. I want to pay less for my gasoline. I want to travel by my car everywhere. I'm not joking, I really want it. I'm frustrated if I cannot use my car wherever I want. The guys selling the fuel, they want to make profits. People sitting on the sources of oil and other fossil fuel, they also want higher prices, etc., etc. Life consists of particular interests. Nobody stands for life itself. So, if we want to be smart, we simply have to think in terms which are opposed to particular interests. There's no other way. So, that means that we will be forced to get to that kind of position by threatening consequences of what is going on. So simply, risks should be taken as though they were real. That's the principle of precaution. And it is now, since we do suffer from some kind of normative optimism, and very often we answer questions by saying this is going to be stipulated by the law which is now being adopted and so on, in our Environmental Protection Act, the principle of precaution is already compulsory, so there shouldn't be too much discussion about it.